Welcome back to ADCGH Spoilers channel. Today, we unravel a storyline so dramatic that it could shake Port Charles to its core. For decades, Lucky Spencer has been a beloved, complex character, a man who has battled addiction, betrayal, and the weight of his legendary family name. But what if the latest buzz spells nothing but tragedy? Could we be on the brink of one of the most devastating twists in General Hospital history? Fans have been speculating about Lucky's return, but now the shocking possibility arises: could his homecoming only serve as the lead-up to his final farewell? If these latest rumors are true, the ripple effects of his death could destroy the lives of those closest to him, especially his son, Aidan Weber. The unbreakable bond between father and son only to be torn apart. The relationship between Lucky and Aidan has been one of strained distance and painful reunions over the years. For so long, Aidan had to cope with the absence of his father, wondering if he'd ever truly belong in Lucky's world. But just as their bond was beginning to mend, the cruel hand of fate might snatch Lucky away forever. The tragedy of finally finding one another, only to lose each other again, is almost unbearable to think about. Aidan had just started to believe in his father again, to feel that sense of security he had always craved. But what if fate is about to crush that fragile hope? What if, in a single moment, Lucky is ripped from his life, leaving Aidan drowning in grief and overwhelming guilt? The pain of losing a parent is one thing, but losing a parent just as you are starting to reconnect with them? That's a heartbreak that can shatter even the strongest soul. Could this push Aidan into a deep spiral of self-blame? Would he begin to question every decision he ever made regarding his father? Could he convince himself that somehow, he is responsible for Lucky's demise? This is the kind of guilt that doesn't fade overnight. It lingers, it festers, and it can send someone into a dark and dangerous emotional abyss. Aidan's struggle, isolation, guilt, and the question of redemption. If Lucky truly meets a tragic end, Aidan may struggle with one haunting question: could he have done something different to change the course of events? The weight of regret can be crushing, especially for someone still navigating the fragile years of young adulthood. He might start pulling away from his family, isolating himself from the people who love him the most. The last night he could have spent with his father, he chose instead to invest in a new love interest. At the time, it seemed like a harmless decision. After all, he had his whole future to make things right with Lucky. Or so he thought. But with Lucky now gone, that single choice could haunt him forever. Will he convince himself that if he had just been there, if he had stayed by his father's side, he could have prevented the tragedy? Even worse, could he start to believe that his past resentment toward Lucky somehow cursed his fate? After all, their history was riddled with disappointments and misunderstandings. Did Aidan judge his father too harshly? Was he too slow to forgive, too hesitant to embrace the second chance they had been given? This kind of inner turmoil doesn't just vanish, it can push someone to the brink. Could Aidan start engaging in self-destructive behaviors as a way to cope? Would he seek out dangerous escapes to numb his pain? And if he does, who will step in before he falls too far? Elizabeth's double burden, mourning her ex while saving her son. Elizabeth Baldwin has endured her fair share of heartbreak, but this loss could break her. She has always been the pillar of strength in Aidan's life, the one constant he could always rely on. But now, she must face the impossible task of balancing her own grief with the desperate need to pull her son back from the edge. Does she fall apart under the weight of it all, or does she fight with everything she has to prevent Aidan from slipping away? As a mother, her instincts will tell her to hold him tighter, to shield him from the unbearable pain. But what if Aidan refuses to let her in? What if he believes he must bear this suffering alone? Could this tragedy lead to a complete breakdown in their relationship? Aidan might resent Elizabeth for still being there when Lucky is not. He could start seeing her as a painful reminder of everything he has lost. Will she be able to reach him in time, or will this loss create an irreversible rift between them? Laura's breaking point, how much more can she take? If Lucky's death becomes reality, Laura Collins might finally reach her breaking point. This is a woman who has endured decades of loss, heartbreak, and suffering. She has fought to keep her family together through scandals, betrayals, and tragedies, but how much more can one heart endure? Lucky was her son, her miracle child, the one she had fought for time and time again. If she loses him now, will she have the strength to go on? Could this be the final blow that sends Laura into a spiral of her own? And if so, who will be there to catch her before she falls? Will we see the return of familiar faces to help Aiden cope? In the wake of Lucky's possible death, could we see the long-awaited return of Cameron Webber and Jake Spencer? These two have been absent from Port Charles for far too long, and if there was ever a time for a dramatic comeback, this would be it. Could they step in as the emotional anchors Aiden so desperately needs? Or would they too be consumed by their own grief, struggling to process the loss of the man who, despite his flaws, was still their family? Could we even see a reunion of the Webber brothers, bonding over the pain of losing a father figure? A dramatic heroic exit, Lucky's final act of bravery? Rumors have been swirling that Lucky's departure may not be an accident. Some suggest that his death could come as the result of a final, heroic sacrifice. Could he save Elizabeth in a moment of selfless bravery? Does he die protecting his loved ones, ensuring that they live even as he perishes? If this is true, it would be a gut-wrenching yet poetic end to Lucky's story. After all, he has always been a character defined by his conflicted heart, his noble intentions, and his struggles to be the man he wanted to be. In one final act, could he prove to everyone, especially Aiden, that he was always worthy of love and respect? Is this truly goodbye, or is there a twist waiting in the wings? Of course, this is General Hospital, and nothing is ever truly set in stone. Could there be a last-minute twist that saves Lucky from his tragic fate? Might he disappear instead of dying, leaving a sliver of hope that he could one day return? Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain: if Lucky's story is coming to an end, it will be a loss that shakes Port Charles to its very core. What do you think, GH fans? Is this really the end of the road for Lucky Spencer, or are we in for one final surprise? Next, we have a hot topic on the table that could completely shake up the dynamics in Port Charles. Nina Reeves' love life has been a roller coaster of emotions, full of highs, lows, and twists no one saw coming. With her romantic past filled with heartbreak and failed relationships, fans are left wondering who will be the one to finally bring Nina happiness. But more importantly, who will she be paired with next? Could a new romance be just the thing Nina needs, or will it be another heartbreak waiting to happen? A rocky romantic history for Nina. From Sunny to Drew, Nina's journey in the realm of love has been nothing short of tumultuous. She first met Sonny Corinthos under unusual circumstances, when he was suffering from amnesia and living under the name Mike. In Nixon Falls, their relationship blossomed. Despite Sonny's memory loss, they fell in love, and before long, Nina and Sonny married in a secret, intimate ceremony in Puerto Rico. Fans had high hopes for this union, but it soon fell apart in a spectacular way. The marriage, built on lies, crumbled when Nina's betrayal was exposed. She had turned in Carly and Drew to the SEC, a move that led to Sonny serving Nina with divorce papers. With the end of that relationship, both Nina and Sonny have since moved on, but Nina has been left reeling from the fallout. Her next romantic attempt was with Drew Kane, another twist of fate that found Nina falling for someone she never expected. However, their affair was short-lived and incredibly messy. Nina's affair with Drew was complicated by the fact that Drew was also having a relationship with Nina's own daughter, Willow. The scandal that erupted was enough to send shockwaves through Port Charles, with Willow and Drew's affair being exposed by a nanny cam at the Quartermaine mansion. Of course, Willow's marriage to Michael Quartermaine added another layer of drama to the situation. As the dust settles, Willow and Drew have openly embraced their romance, but the fallout from this affair still lingers, especially with many fans finding the pairing between Drew and Willow to be uncomfortable, given the age difference. Fans seeking a fresh start for Nina, who will be her next love interest? Now that both Sunny and Drew are no longer viable romantic options for Nina, fans are left to wonder who, if anyone, could step in and be the right partner for Nina. Port Charles is full of eligible bachelors, but after Nina's tumultuous love history, her next romance will surely need to be something fresh, something that could spark new life into Nina's love story and provide her with the love and companionship she deserves. But who will it be? According to the blog What to Watch, there is a surprising yet intriguing option: Jack Brennan. Jack, who is currently pursuing a romance with Carly Corinthos, could be the perfect match for Nina, though it's not without complications. Jack's current romance with Carly has already hit a significant roadblock. After the recasting of the role, viewers seem to feel that the chemistry between Charles Measure, who played Jack, and Laura Wright, Carly, just didn't click as expected. Measure chose to leave the show, and now, Chris L. McKenna has taken over the role. While viewers are still getting used to the change, it's possible that the chemistry between Carly and Jack has dissipated, leaving room for a new romance to blossom. If Jack and Carly's relationship were to fizzle out, Nina might just find herself as Jack's next love interest. A pairing between Nina and Jack would certainly create some intense drama in Port Charles, particularly for Carly. Carly would likely explode with jealousy and frustration, knowing that Nina is once again involved with one of her former flames. This could open up a whole new avenue of conflict between the women, especially since Carly and Nina already have a long and contentious history. Could this be Nina's big break in love? Nina, who has endured such emotional heartbreak and been on the receiving end of betrayal, deserves a fresh start, someone who truly understands her and doesn't come with the baggage of the past. If a relationship with Jack Brennan were to develop, it could give Nina the chance to finally experience real happiness and peace, a stark contrast to the chaos that has marked most of her romantic life. But with all the twists, turns, and inevitable conflicts, one must wonder, could this romance last? While Jack may be a surprising option, the possibilities are endless for Nina. Could Carly's constant interference create an insurmountable obstacle for Nina and Jack's relationship? Would Nina's past mistakes come back to haunt her and prevent her from fully embracing happiness? Would this love story be one that is destined for failure or a bright new beginning? There's no telling yet, but one thing is certain: Port Charles is in for a wild ride if Nina and Jack were to become an item. Will fans ever see Nina reunited with Sunny? As we examine the future of Nina's romantic life, it's clear that many fans are still holding out hope for Nina and Sunny's reunion. Despite the painful end to their marriage, there is a segment of the General Hospital audience that still believes in the connection between Nina and Sunny. Their chemistry was undeniable, and even though their relationship ended in betrayal, there's always the possibility that they could reconcile in the future. Will Nina's path eventually lead her back to Sunny? Or will she continue down a path of new beginnings with someone else? As always, General Hospital keeps fans on the edge of their seats with the ever-evolving love lives of its characters. For Nina, the question remains, who will be her next love? Will it be Jack Brennan, or is there another surprise twist waiting for her in Port Charles? One thing is for sure: Nina's next chapter is sure to be filled with passion, drama, and plenty of surprises. Who should Nina end up with? The big question that remains is, who should Nina ultimately end up with? Fans are divided on who the perfect match for Nina is, but one thing is clear: her next relationship needs to be different. After enduring so much heartbreak, betrayal, and emotional turmoil, Nina deserves a fresh, exciting romance that allows her to grow and move forward. Who do you think would make the perfect match for Nina? Would it be Jack Brennan? Or should Nina take a chance on someone completely new? Next, we're diving into a nail-biting twist that could leave Jason Morgan trapped in a legal mess that he may not be able to escape. Drew Quartermaine might just refuse to back up his brother's alibi, and if that happens, Jason could be in deep trouble. What if Drew plays a dangerous game, willing to sacrifice his brother for his own gain? This is the kind of drama that has General Hospital fans on the edge of their seats, wondering how far Drew is willing to go in order to further his own agenda. Drew's descent into deception. Over recent months, Drew has undergone a significant shift in character. Once seen as a noble courtisan, Drew has become increasingly selfish and cunning, willing to manipulate situations for his own benefit. His attempt to sabotage Jason is not surprising to viewers who have witnessed this darker side of him emerge. Drew has made no secret of his desire to take down both Jason and Sonny Corinthos, and this could be the perfect opportunity for him to execute that plan. As Drew's ambitions grow, he could very well be willing to betray his own brother, leaving Jason in a perilous position, one that could lead to his arrest and potentially much worse. What makes Drew's actions even more sinister is his willingness to lie about Jason's visit to his house, especially if it serves his larger goal. Drew may be calculating enough to craft a web of deception, painting Jason as guilty of a crime he did not commit. If Drew does this, he would not only be betraying Jason's trust but potentially setting his twin up for a fall that could ruin his life. Will Drew betray Jason to get what he wants? The idea of Drew deliberately refusing to be Jason's alibi could be a game-changer in the ongoing Cyrus Renault investigation. Jason has already warned Tracy Quartermain about Drew's growing animosity, hinting at a bold move Drew might make. If Drew decides to lie and claim that Jason never visited him, this would undoubtedly complicate matters for his twin. This deceit would force Jason into a corner, unable to provide a solid alibi for himself, just as he is already facing mounting pressure from the authorities. It's a terrifying prospect for Jason, and it would be a devastating betrayal coming from the person who was supposed to be his closest ally. But Drew's actions could go even further than just denying Jason's visit. In a more sinister move, he might try to frame Jason by casting suspicion on their interaction and suggesting that Jason's visit was simply part of a larger cover-up. Drew could argue that Jason had ample opportunity to commit the crime either before or after his visit, painting a picture of a well-timed scheme. In this scenario, Drew would not just be passive in his betrayal, he could be actively manipulating the investigation to make sure that Jason is implicated in Cyrus's death. Anna's investigation and the growing tension. As the investigation into Cyrus Renault's disappearance heats up, Anna Devane is bound to have some tough questions for Jason about his whereabouts. Anna's role in the investigation makes her an important figure in this entire ordeal, and she will undoubtedly be looking for any piece of evidence to connect Jason to the crime. Jason will likely try to explain that he was at Drew's place, hoping that his twin can provide an alibi. However, with Drew's recent behavior, Jason might be in for a shock when Anna reaches out to Drew for confirmation. This could be where Drew's true colors come into play. Anna may check with Drew to verify Jason's story, and that's when Drew might start to manipulate the situation in his favor. If Drew refuses to back up Jason's claim, Jason's legal troubles will only escalate. Drew might even go so far as to accuse Jason of lying about the visit, intensifying the suspicion surrounding Jason's role in the events leading up to Cyrus's death. A setup for Jason? What makes this situation even more intriguing is the possibility that Jason could be set up to take the fall for Cyrus's death. If Drew has his way, he might engineer a narrative that makes Jason look guilty in the eyes of the authorities. With Jason's credibility on the line, and the weight of his brother's betrayal on top of it, Jason might be facing more than just a legal battle, he could be fighting for his very freedom. Anna's investigation will become the backdrop for Drew's devious plans, and Jason may find himself tangled in a web of lies that he has little control over. This creates a dangerous game of trust, where Drew holds all the power. If Jason doesn't have Drew's support, his ability to clear his name could be severely compromised. The question then becomes, will Drew choose loyalty to his family, or will he continue down the path of deceit that could send his twin to prison? The consequences of deception. Drew's decision to lie about Jason's visit could be the catalyst for a series of escalating problems for both brothers. If Drew makes this move, it could create lasting rifts between the two of them, rifts that might never heal. Jason, already under fire, would have to contend with a betrayal of the deepest kind from his own brother. The emotional fallout of such a decision would be devastating, and the consequences would ripple throughout the Quartermaine family, as well as the broader Port Charles community. The idea of Drew as a villain, willing to deceive and manipulate those closest to him, has far-reaching implications for his future. As his plan unfolds, Drew might face repercussions from other characters who feel betrayed by his actions. Whether or not Drew ultimately succeeds in his plan remains to be seen, but if Jason is implicated in Cyrus's death, it will undoubtedly change the landscape of the show. A legal drama looms for Jason. With everything on the line, Jason's future could soon be in jeopardy. If Drew follows through with his plan to deny Jason's alibi, the consequences for Jason could be severe. A legal battle would be inevitable, and Jason could find himself entangled in a web of lies and accusations that could turn his entire world upside down. The stakes have never been higher, and as new evidence surfaces that could potentially point to Jason's involvement in Cyrus's demise, trouble looms on the horizon. Stay tuned for more updates, as the Cyrus Renault investigation and the Quartermaine family's internal conflicts take center stage in the upcoming weeks.